Not finishing during sex is one of the most isolating experiences that a man can have. And men who come too fast get plenty of attention. Men who struggle to come at all are largely left without a framework, without language for what's happening, and often without any idea of how to bring it up with a partner. But today we're going to change that. Right here, right now, I'm covering what delayed ejaculation actually is, why it happens across several distinct causes, and what you can actually do about it. And we're going to look at how to have the conversation with your partner in a way that protects her confidence and brings her into the solution rather than leaving her to draw her own conclusions, which we never want. You guys, welcome back to The Naked Connection. This is the show that supports driven men to have that hot, wild, steamy sex and to build deep connections with the women in your life. I'm Kirsten, and it is my hope to show you how. And if you are into getting better in bed, please take a moment and hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss a single episode. Your sex life and that special someone are going to thank you for it. So with that, you guys, let's get some. To start this topic, I want to start with something that I hear from women actually. When their partner doesn't come, the first place that a woman is going to go is into her mind about herself. I know it sounds selfish. She is probably thinking something along the lines of she's not attractive enough, she's not skilled enough, she's not doing the right things to get you going. She's interpreting the absence of your orgasm as feedback about her own desirability, something that often happens in the reverse as well. And she usually doesn't say anything out loud about it. She just carries it around. Now, obviously, this is her responsibility to take a look at what she's assuming and what she's not saying. And this matters because delayed ejaculation is almost never just a solo experience, right? It affects the relationship. It affects the two of you and the dynamic between the two of you. And often it silently and significantly impacts your sex life, which is exactly why understanding it and addressing it directly is one of the most important things that you can do together. And I want to add this. I was actually recently teaching a class where a handful of men addressed struggling with this very issue and not knowing how to talk about it with their lovers. The women that they were sleeping with actually took offense to it and didn't understand. And one of them didn't even frankly believe the guy. She thought that he was lying about the fact that he couldn't have an orgasm. So I want you to know that we are going to tackle that today as well. So with all of that said, let's take a look at what delayed ejaculation actually is. Delayed ejaculation is when a man requires significantly more time or stimulation that he wants to reach orgasm and ejaculate, or finds it difficult to ejaculate at all during partnered sex, even when aroused. And it's important to distinguish this from something lasting a long time, which can be desirable. The distinction is having distress about it. If the duration of sex is comfortable and pleasurable for both partners, that's no issue. Now, delayed ejaculation becomes a concern when it causes frustration or disconnection or the experience of sex ending without satisfaction for either or both of you. It's also far more common than I think a lot of men and just women and people that are having sex out there realize. And the silence around it makes it feel like an anomaly. But I want you to know right now that it actually isn't. So let's look at the causes, because once we understand where it comes from, it helps have insight into what to do about it. So I actually find that there are really four main areas that can lead to delayed ejaculation. So the first is masturbation patterns and solo sex conditioning. And this is one of the most common causes that I see in my work and the one that most men often don't consider. So the way that you masturbate really trains your body. If your solo sex practice, your masturbation involves high speed, high pressure stimulation, the kind that produces really rapid, reliable ejaculation under very specific conditions, your nervous system learns to actually associate orgasm with that precise input. And partnered sex, which is, let's be honest, often slower, less predictable, involves a completely different quality of sensation, simply doesn't match the template that your body has been conditioned to respond to. And I'll say this too, on the flip side of this, for women that often use vibrators all the time during masturbation and then struggle to reach a climax during sex, it can be a similar situation here. So I just want you to know that Our masturbation patterns really have a heavy impact in how we show up in the bedroom, regardless of what's going on. Also, regular porn use can compound this situation. Now, this is not to hate on porn. I will say this: when arousal is consistently paired with really high novelty visual stimulation, the brain's reward system begins to get calibrated to that type of input. And real intimacy, with its different quality of stimulation and its emotional complexity, can begin to feel less arousing by comparison. Not because there's something wrong with your partner, but because your nervous system has been trained on a different set of triggers. The fix here is the most direct. Start to change your masturbation practice, specifically reducing grip pressure and speed significantly during solo sex. And try removing porn. Try limiting the exposure to it as well. Or try removing or limiting your exposure to porn while your body is becoming adjusted to a new way of experiencing arousal and orgasm. And slow down to a pace that's more closely going to resemble the stimulation available during partnered sex. This feels counterintuitive at first because it's less immediately satisfying. And that is exactly the point. You're recalibrating your sensitivity threshold so that in-person real-time intimacy and sex registers as far more than enough to have an orgasm and to ejaculate. Now, this does take time. In fact, committing to adjusting things for several weeks to a few months of consistent practice is typically what's needed to see meaningful change. So have patience with yourself and commit to the process, because that really does matter. The second impact on delayed ejaculation is medication and substances. So several categories of medication are known to delay or inhibit ejaculation. Specifically, examples like SRIs or SNRIs, which are the most commonly prescribed antidepressant medication. Those affect serotonin pathways in ways that directly impact orgasm response. So this is actually sometimes used intentionally as a treatment for premature ejaculation. But for men who are already dealing with delayed ejaculation, it can make the experience significantly worse. So also, there are some supplements that boost testosterone or enhance libido that also affect the neurotransmitter pathways involved in orgasm, particularly around dopamine and serotonin. So a man who notices delayed ejaculation beginning or worsening after starting a new supplement or medication should treat that correlation as meaningful information and actually speak with a doctor or a pharmacist about it. Now, when it comes to substances, alcohol is the other major substance level cause. And while it may initially reduce inhibition, alcohol suppresses the neurological signals required for orgasm at higher doses. So chronic heavy drinking can create lasting changes to orgasmic response. So the beautiful term whiskey dick is a thing for a reason. Now, the practical steps here is always a conversation with a healthcare provider. Don't stop medication without medical guidance. Please know that I am not a medical doctor. And if you are on medications, struggling with ejaculation or erections, please speak with a medical doctor. Don't stop medications without that medical guidance, but do flag the issue and ask whether dose adjustments, timing changes, or switching to an alternative with a different side effect profile is possible. And I want to add too here, in the caveat of this, is that there can also be some medical conditions due to accident or injury that disrupt the spinal cord or pathways that biologically make orgasm available. So we're working with some physiological things, some biological things, and some chemical things that greatly impact your ejaculation and erections. Now, the third is getting more into the psychological factors and the chasing pattern. This is the one that I spend probably the most time working with because it's both extremely common and extremely responsive to intervention once it's identified. So orgasm is ultimately a surrender experience. It requires the nervous system to move into a state of release rather than control. So if you're a man who carries anxiety, perfectionism, or performance orientation into sex, that surrender can be very difficult to access. The mind stays vigilant. It monitors, it assesses whether things are going well. That monitoring is physiologically incompatible with orgasm. The pattern that I see most often is a man becomes aroused, the sex is good, but as time passes without orgasm, he begins to focus on it. He starts chasing it. And the more he focuses on getting there, the further away it can start to feel. And the more effort that he brings to it, the less available it seems to become. This is the paradox at the heart of delayed ejaculation for many men. Sometimes I like to think of it like those finger trappers, where the farther you pull away to get your fingers out, the tighter it grips around your finger. Similar situation here, whereby the harder you're chasing it, the further away it becomes. So I think of orgasm like a cat that doesn't want to be caught. The harder you chase it, the more it retreats. The conditions under which it shows up are the opposite of effort. It's presence, it's dropping into pleasure, it's relaxation, it is surrender. And the shift is really focusing on moving from goal orientation to pleasure orientation. So instead of tracking where you are relative to orgasm, return your attention to what feels good right now. What sensation is present? What would deepen it? What would make this moment more pleasurable, not more efficient, but more pleasurable? This is a practice. It is not a one-time adjustment. It requires genuine attention over time to recondition the reflex toward goal seeking that I think a lot of guys have just been built to have in their sexual experiences. And the fourth reason that contributes to delayed ejaculation is relationship or emotional factors. So delayed ejaculation is sometimes a signal about something in your connection or your relationship space rather than purely a physical or psychological individual issue. So things like unresolved tension, unexpressed resentment, disconnection from a partner, or a lack of genuine erotic interest can all manifest as difficulty reaching orgasm during partnered sex. A man may be fully functional during solo sex, but find orgasm consistently elusive with his partner. And this is not something that I say to assign blame or to create shame. It's something I say because ignoring the relational dimension and treating this purely as a mechanical problem is less effective and less honest than addressing what's actually happening. So if there is something in the relationship that needs a conversation, having that conversation is often more useful than any technique to opening up the doorway to you having consistent orgasm. So with that in mind, let's talk about how to actually talk to your partner about what's going on. This conversation is really worth having proactively rather than in the middle of or immediately after a difficult experience. Because the most important thing here to lead with is clarity about what this is and what it is not. It isn't, so check in with yourself. Is this about your partner or is this about something else? If it isn't about how attracted you are to your partner, communicate that. If it isn't about her skill set, communicate that to her. This is looking at a feature of how your body is currently working, and it's something that you're actively addressing. So a frame that can work really well is to get ahead of it is not as a confession or an apology, but as a simple piece of shared information. This is when you can say something like, hey, I want to tell you something about how my body works so you have some context. Sometimes it takes me a really long time to come when I'm having sex, and occasionally I don't. I don't really stress about it. I know that it's going to happen. It has nothing to do with you or how incredibly attracted I am to you. I find you so sexy. I'm working on this and I'd love for us to be on the same team about it rather than you trying to figure out what's going on. So specificity really matters here. Telling her what does feel good matters. Telling her what you find genuinely arousing about her is going to be helpful. Not leaving the reassurance vague, like you turn me on or you're so hot. It's less effective than saying something like, oh, the way that you move your hips, the sounds that you make when I kiss your neck, the way you look at me when I put my dick inside of you. All of it is genuinely hot to me. That specificity is going to make reassurance land. And then genuinely invite her into the process. Ask if she's open to experimenting together. Make it a shared exploration rather than a solo problem for you to tackle and manage around her. Women who feel like partners in the solution are far less likely to continue drawing painful conclusions from the silence. And if you are coming to the realization that part of your ejaculation distress is actually coming from the relationship or your dynamic with this woman, that's a different type of conversation to start addressing as well. So if there's something going on in the relationship that you haven't voiced, if there's anger that you haven't faced yet, if there is a style of sex or a kink that you really, really love to explore but haven't been able to voice, and that's holding you back in the bedroom, start having those conversations first and foremost before even starting to address what's going on for you physically. All right, guys, I want to take a pause here because what we've covered today, the masturbation recalibration, the shift from goal orientation to pleasure orientation, and the partner conversation framework, these are the exact kinds of integrative tools that sit at the center of the Legendary Lover training in very, very deep, detailed work. So if you're dealing with delayed ejaculation or any dimension of sexual experience that you want to deepen or shift, the Legendary Lover training is where that work happens systematically. This is 6 weeks of science-backed, body-level, and practically applied frameworks and tools to help you become more legendary in bed. And because you are a podcast listener, I love to give you guys the hookups. So as a podcast listener, you get $200 off heading over to a very special link specifically for the show here. Head on over to thenakedconnection.com/lover and the discount is there waiting for you. Don't wait another day to make your sex life even better. Okay, guys, delayed ejaculation. What a topic to cover. And please know, it is not a permanent condition. It is a pattern with identifiable causes and real actionable responses. So whether it's coming from how you've conditioned your body through masturbation, a medication side effect, a psychological orientation towards performance rather than pleasure, or something in the relational space, every one of these causes has a direct pathway forward and out. And your partner deserves to be a part of the conversation, not because she can fix it, but because her silence on her end and your silence on yours creates a gap that compounds over time into something much harder to navigate than the original issue itself. So talk about it. Be specific. That conversation handled with care will do more for your sex life than almost any technique will. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. And if you're interested in diving even deeper, go ahead and take the free Sex IQ test at thenakedconnection.com/quiz. It will show you where you're crushing it in bed and areas of opportunity to grow and really to better understand yourself and how you show up in the bedroom. You guys, so grateful to have you here, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of The Naked Connection. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss another episode. Trust me on this, your sex life and that special someone in your life will thank you for it. And if you really love the show, please take a moment and leave a 5-star review or a written review and let me know what you think. It would mean so much to me and this show. Until next time, happy connecting.